Hello, and welcome back to Sharing a Chapter a Day. This is Do, Ra, me, and today I will be reading Chapter 48 of Engagement in Peril by Dara, Odoe, Sup. Chapter 48 is titled Outings and About. On some free weekends, I will go downtown San Diego with friends and classmates to Hooters, a nearby sports bar where the waitresses dress up in tights and pantyhose, have on ass-high orange shorts and white tank tops that were way too little to cover their large man-made enhanced bosoms. I usually order the hot wings, and being horny-minded, I just watch the large-breasted waitresses up and down rather than watching the televised sporting events that was going on atop or ahead of me on the mini televised television set throughout the sports bar. One time, I even had my pictures taken with the large-breasted waitresses. My buddies had told them that I was a foreigner visiting from a foreign military of sort, and since I was the only Asian-looking person there, so I just kept my mouth shut and smiled a lot. And they were dull enough to believe that I was a foreigner. I posed in between two sets of large, luscious boob while my buddy laughingly took pictures of us. Those were the kind of things we did then, as we were new what behind the ears United States sailors. I have those pictures for keepsake to this very day. Perhaps I should post them sometime during my off times, and if I wanted to be alone, I would go to Horton Plaza Mall to watch movies and window shop about the many stores and market it had to offer. One night, a shipmate of mine, Brown, and I decided to go to F Street downtown. F Street is the same adult book video store that was right across from Downtown Mall in San Diego. The store had adult toys, videos, peeping Tom booth with hand towel that you can jerk off to, and many other adult toys and game as well. And costumes. I stood around reading the dirty magazines and the video covers, while waiting for Brown, who ventured into the booth to view pornography and spank his monkey, or choke his chicken, whatnot. I also bought a wallet-sized Playboy calendar for my room back at the bungalow. We stayed there a long while. We didn't leave the adult store until 0100 the next morning. We walked back to base, and while walking toward our destination, a dark blue pickup truck tried to pick us up. He had thought we were streetwalkers of sort. We said no thanks. We got back to base safely that early morning. A school was in all fun and games. I had a classmate by the name of Riddle who was an idiot and ignorant of other people's color and creed. He didn't like anyone who wasn't white. He admitted of being a racist to those nearby that could hear his sneering remark. I had an incident with him once during our stay together at the A school barrack. He was picking on Tran, a Vietnamese man who spoke very little English, and he made snide remarks about his speech and eyes, and also picked on me for being brown and being small. Riddle dogged us about our race and such, boasting about that we ate dogs and such. Riddle rambled on and picked on my height, the way I spoke, my Asian feature, my race. He just got on my last nerve that night. So he and I went at it. I got into a little scuffle over the matter. No one really got hurt or anything, though, except feelings. During our altercation, our classmate stopped the incident from escalating further. If Shinshin were there, he would have put Riddle in his place right quick. That was just the type of person Shinshin was. I surely miss my beloved friends from basic. The incident was never reported to our command and advisor because of it. There would have been an investigation, and everyone would have been questioned and interrogated about the racial disagreement matter. We kept the incident and about that night to ourselves. Schools and exam went quite well for me. We had several hand-on exam with dummies and live people, where we staged accidents, incident, and emergency. During our hands-on classes, we got to give each other shots and draw each other's blood and put on catheter into male and female mannequins. I passed all my written and hands-on exam on every first try. I did well enough in class to be able to pick any orders I wanted to for my next duty station after we graduated from basic A school. But I decided to stay in San Diego because my mother didn't want me to go too far away from her and the rest of my family. With Mom's encouragement and recommendation in mind to stay in San Diego, I had wanted so bad to go to Okinawa, Japan. I wanted to see what it was like to be there. And it's a good thing that I didn't choose to go to Japan then, because an incident occurred in Okinawa that caused the Japanese government to have some bad relations with the US government. Back then, a Japanese teenage girl was abducted and raped by several Marines who were supposedly drunk, and they had brutalized a young, delicate virgin girl who was minding her own business when her world was turned upside down by two horrible, idiotic, poor excuse for human beings. Soon after that incident was discovered and reported, the Japanese government made a big fuss about it and had to relieve tension between the two countries. The U.S. government and the U.S. military worldwide changed their drinking age policy from 18 to 21, and most bar and liquor shops on base were dismantled, torn down, and sent packing, and put out of business on military bases and installation, because before recently the drinking age on any military base and institution was 18 years old, and since this incident has now been raised to 21. Much revenues, business, and income were lost due to the change of drinking age. Now most sailors and military personnel had to leave base to get drunk at local bars and liquor stores. For those who were 21 and older were allowed to buy alcohol from places off base and bring it back to their living quarters. They had to drink their beers and alcohol in their rooms. The new drinking rule led to more military personnel being drunk and an increase in accidents and incidents out in public. Although the drinking age had been changed, most of my fellow shipmen who were under the age of 21 still sneak into alcohol and drugs onto base for personal consumption, to share and to sell. The night before we graduated from A school, our class advisor informed all the male graduates that we had to go to Field Medical Service School, FMSS, with the Marines. It was required of all male corpsmen at that time. There were about 23 male graduates from my class, and none of us wanted to go, except for one who thought of himself as a hardcore sailor. Nathan Montgomery was his name, and we later found out that he was just as scared as we were, if not even worse. We were all pissed off about being sent off with the Marines, but we had to follow our direct order from our command then. Most of us were frustrated from the fact and stated that if we wanted to be with the Marines, we would have joined the Marines. What would Shin Shin have done then? So I had thought to myself. I put myself in his shoe. He would have gone anyway. He would have toughed it out then, and that's why I decided to be like Shin Shin and get through this next hump in my naval career. So I had reminded myself of what Shin Shin would do if I were in his shoe. After graduating and before reporting to my next command with the Marine in the lovely city of Oceanside, I went home to Long Beach, California, for about 5 days to spend time with my mom and my family. My next duty station was at Camp Del Mar in Camp Pendleton, California, in Oceanside. While at home in Long Beach, I mostly hung out with Benevolence, a good friend of mine from high school, whom I had several classes with during our senior year at Long Beach Polytechnic High School a little over a year ago. Benevolence was the only one I hung out with the whole time, and she was the only friend that wrote back to me at boot camp, besides several of my high school teachers, like Miss Humphrey and Miss Cavor and Miss Cartwell. Benevolence and I did pretty much everything together then during my visit, going to the beach, hanging out at the movie, bowling and whatnot, whatever we decided. She was such a wonderful friend then. Who would have known that she and I would eventually hook up several years down the road? And she became my first actual intimate partner outside of fisting Suzanne when she and I were in middle school together. We were even once engaged to be married. You'll find out more about how all this came about in later chapters. Do read on, my fellow readers, of this book and of the other written pieces. Thank you for listening. This is the end of chapter 48. Be on the lookout for Chapter 49, titled The Devil Doc Conceive. This is Do, Ra, Me, and I'll see you later. Thank you.